Hey Star Trek fans, Dan Gunther here, sharing with you my thoughts on the season finale of Season 1 of Star Trek Lower Decks. The episode is No Small Parts. As usual, the first part of this review will be spoiler-free, but I will quickly get into spoilers, but I'll give you a warning before I do so. So, first of all, spoiler-free thoughts. This episode definitely continues the trend of the last few episodes of being the best in the season. I would say it's not my favorite as far as absolute favorite episode of the season goes. Still has to go to last week's episode, Crisis Point. That one just really hit all my buttons perfectly. This one is still top notch, very, very good episode with lots of surprises, lots of really interesting references and stuff. Honestly, if you haven't seen this episode yet, I'm wondering what's keeping you. You need to go see it. Don't get spoiled. Mike McMahon actually last night did tweet out the exact time that it would be going live and to say, watch it as soon as you can so you don't get spoiled on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. And that's good advice. There's a lot in this episode that is very spoiler worthy. So yeah, check it out as soon as you're able. I will say I really enjoyed a lot of the character development moments. We, of course, had the revelations last week that carry forward into this episode that have a big impact. There's also some interesting implications for the show going forward that, again, I can't get into yet, but it raises a lot of questions as to what next season is going to look like. So, yeah, lots of great references to all eras of Star Trek. Excellent episode. I really can't say much more before getting into spoilers. So what I'm going to do now is give the spoiler warning. So from this point on, there will be spoilers for the episode No Small Parts. Like I said, I loved this episode. I thought it was terrific. Early on, we get, of course, the revelation last week that Boimler knows that Mariner is Captain Freeman's daughter. That comes into play very early on. That gets revealed not just to Mariner right away, but to the crew at large, thanks to an open comm channel in which Boimler is, talking about Mariner being Freeman's daughter. An unintended consequence of this is that it causes Mariner to buckle down and become kind of a model officer because she's interested in getting a promotion and a transfer to the USS Sacramento, which would mean starting over and not being shoehorned into this role as the captain's daughter, which is playing havoc with her relationships on board the ship. Everyone's trying to curry favor with her. Everyone's treating her differently than they would before they knew that she was her daughter. So some fun scenes come out of that. I really like the lieutenant who believed that Wolf 359 was an inside job and who's trying to convince Mariner to, get in good with the captain about decorating her captain's yacht or something like that. We also, of course, have the Exocomp officer, which, that was a fun continuation of that. It kind of didn't go in a direction that I thought it would, though, which is kind of par for the course for this show, They really do challenge expectations as far as where storylines go and that sort of thing. So, that's mostly a Tendi storyline. That's kind of what she has to do for most of the episode. I kind of felt the weakest part of the episode personally, but still, most of this episode is just excellent. So we get the return of Captain Dayton. This time she's commanding a different starship, which falls prey to an alien attack and is very quickly destroyed with the loss of all hands. This Cerritos is going to investigate. They don't know that the ship's been destroyed. They think they're just going to go rescue her, but when they arrive on the scene, they come under attack by these mysterious aliens who turn out to be ones we've seen before, the Pakleds from the TNG episode Samaritan Snare. Very quickly, the Cerritos is overcome. The Pakleds have a whole bunch of alien technology grafted onto their ship. If you remember that original episode with them, that's their whole motive. They incorporate technology they steal from other people. And to great effect in this case. Funnily enough, they think they're attacking the Enterprise. They're portrayed as just as kind of simple as they were in that original episode. But yeah, the Cerritos is very quickly overpowered. And who should come to their rescue but the Starship Titan, under the command of Captain William Riker. And, this is great, first of all, to see the Titan realized canonically for the first time. This design of the Titan has been around for ages, but it originated in the novels and then was moved over to Star Trek Online. neither of which are actually canon, so it's never been a part of the canon Star Trek universe, this design, until now, which is really, really cool. I've always loved this look for the Titan. I have a model of it that was actually on the shelf under the TV as I was watching this episode, with no idea that the Titan was going to show up, and Riker and Troi, Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis reprised their roles here. That was so much fun to see the existing relationships between, Riker and the captain and Mariner as well. Interestingly, the uniforms that the Titan crew wear are the same as the First Contact style uniforms. So it seems that there are different uniforms across Starfleet for different assignments, and this kind of lower level of Starfleet seems to be the ones that have the lower decks type uniforms, but the elite part of Starfleet, I guess, with the Titan and the Enterprise and them, they would have the old First Contact style uniforms, which is not unprecedented. We had during the first couple seasons of Deep Space Nine, for example, crew members on the Enterprise had the season 3 TNG uniform that's carried on through, and Deep Space Nine had the jumpsuits with the color on top. So, this isn't unprecedented. Different parts of Starfleet have different uniforms at different times. The Enterprise in Star Trek Discovery, for example, compared to the Discovery uniforms. This is not something new for sure. I also thought it was interesting that it was Riker who saved the Cerritos from the Pakleds, given how cavalierly he took the Pakleds as a threat back in Samaritan Snare. It's really, if you watch that episode, it's his fault that things kind of get to where they do. Worf's trying to warn him the whole time, and Riker's like, these guys don't seem like a big deal. It seems he's learned his lesson and, deals quite forcefully with the Pakleds this time around. A lot of fun to see those characters again and to see them interact with Lower Decks. I love that they kept this secret and managed to not have it leak. Brilliant. I love it. Kudos to Mike McMahon and the entire team at Lower Decks for putting together this episode and putting together a wonderful season. I thought this was really good. So some other developments in this episode, of course, we have the loss of the great Shax, who gives his life to save Rutherford in the destruction of the Pakled ship. That was tragic. I was really sad to see Shax killed, especially given that Dr. T'Ana had been showing kind of an interest in him and asks Mariner, do you think you could talk to the captain about me having a relationship with Shax? Oh, that's so sad, But the loss of a really great character, I think. I really enjoyed Shax this season. He was consistently one of the high points of episodes he was in. So, I keenly felt this loss. And, I don't know if we'll get a reversal of that in season 2. My instinct is no. I think he's gone. I think they have actually killed him off. I don't think there's kind of any last minute, save here. Rutherford, of course, loses his memories of the time he's gotten to know Tendi and the rest of the crew. That was really sad as well, but I love Tendi's eternal optimism that, yay, she gets to become best friends with him all over again. I thought that was really sweet. Now, with regards to Boimler, at the end of this episode, he gets a transfer to the USS Titan, and we see him under the command of Riker. So I don't know what this means for Lower Decks going forward. There are a number of possibilities. Will Riker and the Titan play a role in season 2 of Lower Decks, and we'll see Boimler in that manner? Will he very quickly find himself back on the Cerritos for some reason? Or is he off the show? Is he not really going to be a major part of the show anymore? It really could go in any of those directions, I think. And, we could have, there's nothing in the title Lower Decks that says it has to be confined to the Cerritos. Maybe we get a multi-ship show or something like that. Or, any of the other possibilities that I listed there. So, I don't know what this means going forward. Do you have any thoughts or theories at this point? There's really we have no idea what season 2 is going to look like. So it's just all going to be guesses at this point, but I'd love to hear what you think. So with that, I have to give No Small Parts a 10 out of 10. Great episode. And the season of Lower Decks a 10 out of 10. There were some episodes that weren't my favorite. I think my least favorite is still Terminal Convictions. I really didn't like Ensign Fletcher. But other than that, there's not an episode that I would point to say that I didn't enjoy it. I think, this has been a lot of fun, a really fun take on the Star Trek universe with some really interesting characters that I kind of surprisingly really came to enjoy and care about. So, lots of great stuff in this season, in particular this episode. So, The references as well, which I'll get into with my deep dive video, of course. We have Beta 3 and Landru, and actually referring to that era as the TOS era, which, you know, those old scientists, I thought that was pretty funny. And of course, the exocomps and, you know, all of that, the Packleds. So many great references, so many callbacks. This episode was absolutely crammed full of them. You know, it was like everything they couldn't get in the rest of the season they put into this episode. So yeah, kudos to everybody. Great show, great episode, great series. So top marks for me. But like I said, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Lower Decks and Lower Decks as a whole? I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much to the Patreon supporters for your help in bringing these videos to you. I really do appreciate it. And thanks to everyone else for liking, sharing, and subscribing if you felt this video was worth it. I have a playlist with that it contains all of the previous reviews of Lower Decks episodes. Check that out if there are any that you missed over the past season. And of course, keep an eye out for my deep dive video coming soon that will talk about all of the references and Easter eggs in this episode. And of course, on Friday night, Brandy, Jacqueline, and I will be going live to talk about this episode in the Unready Room. Be sure to check that out. It's live every Friday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. So yeah, that's always a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you there. Thank you again so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, as always, live long and prosper.